Africa, arise from your slumber. The time is now. Lift your voices, take action, make your mark. Intentionally raise the leaders of tomorrow. This is the A.R.A.L Show, where we plant the seeds of greatness in our children. Africa's future, nurture their dreams, empower their minds, mold them into the leaders our continent needs. A new breed of African leaders will rise, empowered by the love and wisdom of Afrimums. They will stand tall, face challenges with courage, transforming our nations one dream at a time. This is the A.R.A.L Show, where we plant the seeds of greatness in our children. Africa's future, we nurture their dreams.
I am African, I'm a mother, and I'm raising a new breed of leaders for the African future.
Good day, African mama, wherever it is you're watching us from. You are welcome to the A.R.A.L Show, where A.R.A.L means
Afrimums raising African leaders.
My name is 𝐀𝐅𝐿, and we have a very crucial and important conversation to discuss today. But I'm never alone. There's the steady, the study, and the delectable.
Okay, of course, you know how we do it. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever it is you're watching us from, because we know we have viewers from all over the world tuning in. So no matter what time it is, greetings from me to you. My name is Somi, and this is the A.R.A.L Show. And of course, we're airing on Digit 1024 radio, your refreshing radio. And as you can see, there is a space in between Zoe and I. That's because we have a wonderful guest in the house. Okay, so sit back. Trust me, you want to hear what she's going to say. Okay, I've let the cat out of the bag by letting you know it's a woman. So yeah, so sit back and, don't go anywhere. We have a very loaded session coming up with our guests today.
All right. So I think that right now you should just grab some drink, grab some snack, and then we'll be right back where we'll be bringing in our guests, and of course the conversation would begin. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Rise from your slumber, it's time to take action. This is the A.R.A.L Show, where we intentionally raise a new breed of African leaders. Arise from your slumber, it's time to take action. This is the A.R.A.L Show, where we intentionally raise a new breed of African leaders.
Thank you for staying tuned. Once again, you're welcome to the A.R.A.L Show, where A.R.A.L means Afrimums raising African leaders. Last episode, we began a very sensitive but crucial conversation. And this week, we have decided to bring in an expert, one who would answer some of our questions and, of course, some of your questions. We'll be discussing, effective strategies for protecting the African child when hiring a nanny. And today we have someone with us. I'll start by reading her profile. Drum rolls. With a spark for addressing societal challenges at their core, the 𝐀𝐅𝐿's Hive platform identifies the gaps in the domestic staffing industry. That platform has created solutions that are changing the narrative in this sector. With over 12 years of experience in sales, marketing, and business development, our guest has worked with 2 pharmaceutical companies and currently is employed at one of Nigeria's financial institutions. As a busy mother, she has gained valuable insights into the domestic staffing needs of several households. She has an educational background, which includes a BSc in Applied Biochemistry, a master's degree in Public and International Affairs, and an additional master's degree in Business Administration.
O'Shea.
I tell you! I tell you!
So you see?
Wait for this one. Adaobi Ugha is happily married and is a mother of 3 sons.
What is it with
What
you
is
people
all
and
this?
sons?
What is this?
This one has 2 sons, 3 sons. I mark myself
It's a
safe.
barracks here. It's a barracks.
Okay, so I'm sure you're my forerunner. We have 3 boys, so
Yes,
I'll come
please.
for tips.
I'm humble.
Nice to meet you. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Wow. So Somi, there's a question, and I think I want you to start. You know, there's always a way you ask a question. It's very gengeshous.
Yeah. Okay, so once again, thank you for coming on the A.R.A.L Show, and we're pleased to have you. So, of course, the very first question should be, is there even a need for nanny? When and why does a family need a nanny?
Okay, thank you for having me. Thank you very much. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're watching.
Yeah.
This is a very interesting question. Some people will say there is no need for hiring the services of a nanny. So I think I should start with when a family needs a nanny, and then we can, why does a family need a nanny, and then we can come back to the when.
Okay.
Now, let's take a typical African family structure.
Yeah.
If you look at a typical African family structure, you would see that the woman is the central core of the household.
Yes.
So when a woman tells you that she's a household, then you understand that there is nothing, she's a housewife rather.
Okay.
There is nothing about soft living about being a housewife, because the typical African home has 2 traditional roles.
Okay.
One is the house managing role, and the other is the caregiving role.
Yeah.
Now, if a woman is not a housewife, then she is a business owner or employed somewhere to contribute to the economic well-being of her family. So what happens is that the woman wears a lot of hats, or you can say that she has a lot of balls that she's juggling in the air, and none of them must drop. And so there's this constant struggle for the woman to strike a balance between everything happening around her and caring for her home and her children.
Okay.
So I would say that this is one of the major reasons why families would need the services of a nanny. Men are not left out, you know, because especially for those who are very interested in how they raise up, those who are intentional, if I put it that way, about how they raise their kids. They also struggle with striking a balance as well.
Yeah.
Some studies have shown that it is even harder for men, you know, because they struggle with multitasking. And so for this reason, a family would need a nanny. Quickly on other reasons, you know, in the past we used to have, the African home used to have extended family members, you know, grandfather, grandmother, aunties, uncles, maybe from the paternal or the maternal. But in recent times, this support system is no longer available, and this is why you know, they would lean towards getting So what I've shared here is not exhaustive, but just some of the common reasons why some families would need a nanny, and when 1 or 2 of these issues present themselves, and then they would go for the much needed help.
Wow. I mean, I like the flow. I like the clarity of thought with which you're answering our questions, and I truly appreciate it. It's why last episode we looked at 2 specific scenarios.
Okay.
Yeah.
There was a young girl, a Ghanaian, at the age of 13, her housekeeper introduced her to pornography.
Wow.
Under the guise of, I'm preparing you to be a woman.
That's unfortunate.
It was very sad. Then there was another boy from Ibadan here in Nigeria who was introduced to drugs by a housekeeper. Oh well, that was not
supposed
relative.
Wow.
So you know there's a question on everybody's lips. In fact, when in trying to prepare our audience for today's meeting, some persons saw my social media uploads and then reached out to me and said, oh, this conversation is very important.
Yeah.
In fact, I had someone from Liberia who said, this is in our society and it's something that should be discussed.
Yeah.
So the big question is,
Okay.
are there good nannies out there? And then where can we
Where
find
can
them?
we find them? That's
Because
the
we
thing.
want, are there good nannies?
Very interesting question. Very, very interesting question. I would say yes. There are good nannies, professional, experienced nannies, and you can get them on from reputable agencies, like the carers.
Like the care.
Okay. But why did I say yes?
Okay.
There are always two sides to a coin. While I understand that most families may be skeptical, because of the stories that we hear, those stories have exposed the ugly side of caregiving in Nigeria and in Africa. Like you just mentioned someone from Liberia. Because we've heard and seen cases of kidnap, child molestation,
Poisoning.
Yeah.
The list is endless, and like I said, very unfortunate, very sad. But we will not ignore the good sides of this caregiving. There are nannies that have been so good to the children that they care for, that the families now decide, okay, let's even help this person achieve their dreams, send them back to school, set up a business for them. I've even seen a case where the employer had to give out the nanny's hand in marriage. There's also a case that I have seen where the nanny had to travel out on vacation with the kids before the mother joined them. And this goes to tell you the level of trust, and yes, there's a positive side to the coin.
So we are
Okay,
there.
so the question, I have a follow-up
Like
question
they say in
to
Nigeria, where
that,
do they find
especially to carers Hive.
Yeah.
So what are the checks you put in place to ensure? Because the truth is, we've had cases where you've known someone for so long, the person has been good, then just is like maybe one knot, just lose, and the person does something despicable, and you're surprised that I thought this person was. So, are there any contingency plans? Are there any, systems and structures you put in place to ensure that this person does not veer off? Yes, we've done our background check and all that, but is there any other system you put in place to make sure that this person remains consistent in that attitude? Because human beings, we can be very, very, very volatile.
Yeah.
That's just the truth. So what are the steps that, for example, if I come to carers Hive, what is the assurance you're giving me that any nanny I'm getting from you that is 100% fail proof?
First, I would like to say that with human beings, you can't say 100%. However, I love the fact that you have said what are the checks. And you can never take background check away from the checks that we do before deployment. Actually, there are two recommended safety checks that we put in place. The very first one is background check, and that would include going as far as obtaining police reports to make sure that this person doesn't have a criminal record. The most important thing is the tendency there? If it is there, then there's no need to even have this person in your family in the first place. And then going as far as getting the details of their previous employer, doing address verification to ensure that this human being is who they are telling us that they are. There are no red flags before you deploy them. The extra mile you can go is, thank God for technology these days. You can install CCTV cameras in your home so that in real time you can see or monitor what is happening in your home. Training is another thing that we do from our own side. Yes, we have deployed these nannies, but we want to constantly train them based on the feedback that we are getting from the people that we have deployed them to. Oh, this person does this person. It forms part of the curriculum that we use in training them so that there is that mindset shift with them. I won't also take away the medical screening, part of safety measure, because we've had cases of transmission of disease from the nanny to the children that they are supposed to be, even HIV. And in some cases, we've seen cases where they are aware that they have this thing, but they need the money. Yes, they don't disclose it, and then you send them for medical screening. It comes back positive, and they tell you that yes, we are aware. So these are some of the recommendations that we make.
Okay, so kudos to carers Hive.
Honestly, you can say that again.
Okay, so so now I actually have another question, but Zoe will stone me.
Yes, I'm looking at you, girl. I'm looking.
She will stone me because she's already our accurate timekeeper. But then let me chip it in as I ask the next question. So, you know, there are cases where you see someone, they probably take a relative to come live with them to play the role of nanny. And so people are telling you, once your nanny isn't up to 18, that's child abuse. So I want you to wage in on that. What's the appropriate age for a nanny? Is there such thing as an underage nanny? That is where you can be prosecuted for having an underage person as your nanny. Then the how can a young African mother get the best of any nanny?
Okay.
You understand? Well, let me reserve my personal sentiments, child, on that question. But you know, I'm sure there are ways to harness these people. So what are the ways that an African mother who is out there that is skeptical about hiring a nanny? So let's say you've convinced her in these first few minutes that you actually need a nanny. So how does she now get the best of that nanny when she gets the nanny?
Okay. The very first question that you asked, very important. You get to see some people saying, I need someone below 18. That's actually against the labor law. If we don't employ people who are not up to 18, we've even had parents bringing their children because they want to make money and say she's a good child, just employ her. No, it's against the labor law. From 18 and above, you can employ, but anything less than that shouldn't be employed to provide nanny services. And then you ask them how an African mother can get the best. Yeah, so the first thing is for this African mother to even understand the structure of her home, and then she can look at the preferences available from the nannies and then match that with what her home structure is. Let me give an example. You have young children and you need a nanny. Then does at that point in time, do your kids need a grandma figure? Then you would now have to go for an elderly nanny instead of a younger one. Okay. Depending on your home structure, would you want a live-in or a live-out nanny? If you're a very busy mom and you have a live-out nanny, most times you have to, you know, rush back home and all of that. So what you require is a live-in nanny. And some people may disapprove of this. Mothers also look at the ethnicity of the nanny that they are employing, you know, and this is because they want to share the same value systems, culture, and things like that. Remember that we are talking about family here, so these are some of the things that an African mother can.
Okay, thank you. My next question, you've somewhat responded to it, but in your training, does it cover things like hygiene? Because, for instance, we have some nannies coming and then they go through this, oh dear Lord. I heard about a situation where she just does not want to use a pad. And then when she was introduced to it, she would wrap it and throw it under the bed. Like, please tell me you people do it. You teach them hygiene. You know, some of them come in with such strong odor. And then sometimes it even beats deodorant. You know, because perhaps over time, their body system has not. So do you pay attention to even such details like hygiene? Teach them to trim their nails, you know, keep yourself. Do you do those?
Yes, absolutely. Hygiene forms part of our curriculum.
Okay.
Yes, although we get some of those feedbacks and we keep emphasizing on it. In fact, we had one feedback from a customer. She said she's so good, but each time she carries my baby, it also changes the odor of the baby. And for that reason, I don't want her to carry my child, and it defeats the purpose of being in that house. Yes. So this is something that we always talk about. In some cases, they tell you, I don't have deodorant, and then we tell them, okay, this is what you work for. You should also spend your money, to get those things. Some of them don't believe in using at all, and then we try to train them on the importance of using a deodorant, pads, you know, some of the things that you mentioned right now. Yes, we train them on things like that.
Okay. Okay, guys. Okay, so the thing is, what you've touched on that anyways, but the thing is it possible to integrate a nanny so much so that she becomes part of the family? That is, when it comes to your family system, your family culture, your family values, and you know, because I see nannies as co-parents in quotes because
Absolutely.
they parent to your children.
Yeah.
So that's why for someone like me, I'm very particular about nannies and all those stuff because one nanny can just all the years of training, maybe your child is already 7 years of training,
Yeah.
just 1 week with nanny, she
Yeah.
can reset your child's, reprogram your
Coming with
child.
languages
Yeah.
that you have never
Do you understand that you've
used for your
never used
children?
and all those stuff? So, in a case whereby, just like what you said now, the nanny is so good, but the odor is an issue. And for someone like me personally, I think that's a pet peeve. I don't like people with odor around me. As in, it's more like I can't breathe. Do you understand? So,
Yeah.
in that case, now, do you not forgo this nanny who is so good with her job? But this is an issue. So, I don't know. I really don't understand. But, so, is there a way to, you know,
Train
he-
them to
help
embrace
them, yes,
our
to
values.
embrace such a way, because I know some of them can be so adamant in their ways.
Yes.
They'll tell you, oh, this is how I am, and they are not willing to make changes. So in such situation, what would you advise that African mother to do?
Okay, so let me begin with at the point of interviewing this nanny
Okay.
and bringing them into your home. It's important that the mother emphasizes or the parent emphasize on what the cultural orientation of the home is, what provides clarity on the guidelines in the home. I don't want my kids looking at phones. That should be very clear.
Yes.
At so and so time, I want my kids to be in bed. That should be clear. When I'm not around, I don't want visitors in my home.
Yes.
All this should be clear at the point of interviewing the nanny and bringing them into your own home. So it's not a case of, oh, I didn't know or you never told me. And over time, there should be regular communication, regular feedback. You know, because some people, so like you mentioned, some of them are so set in their ways that, yes, you mentioned all of these things, but they keep doing it. So that regular communication and feedback is always important. Oh, you have done this well, but in this aspect, I have told you that I don't want visitors in my home, and I don't want that. If you hire them through an agency, you can also provide the feedback to
the agency.
yes, like ours, and we take that very seriously and train them
So
on
do you
that.
have a disciplinary measure for that?
Yes, we do. There are in some cases, you know, there's in my own agency, the salary comes through us, and
okay.
we retain a part of that salary. If you have done well, at the end of some months, we refund that to you. So these are some of the things that we do to put them in check.
Okay.
We also recognize them, you know, and they like that when they are recognized on our platform to say, oh, this is an award-winning nanny, she's done well in this area and all of that. So these are some of the things that can be done.
You know,
Oh.
so you know, while I listen to you, for a bit, I want to take off my cloak of saying no to nannies, and I want to say, so if, for instance, caregivers gives me a star nanny, what is, from your end, how do you think I should relate with that nanny that would foster the kind of result we want? For instance, I heard you say something like, if the nanny has done well, acknowledge it.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes we have the tendency to say, it's not my child, I don't really have to say she has done well. So is there a, you know how you oil an engine to get it to work?
Yeah.
Are there things that an African mother should do, or in relating with the nanny, that would ensure that nanny gives her best continually?
Yeah, there are some things that can be done, just like if you are working in a place and you expect your employer to treat you well, if you have done well. So you can look at incentives, occasionally give her incentives. You can also look at increasing her salary if you are able to do so. You can also look at some things that are like low-hanging fruits, like food stuff and things like that. You know, instead of increasing her salary, it mustn't be monetary, you know. You can also look at bringing her closer, like part of the family, if like the family, it's not that you owe her that duty. But since she's so good to you and the family, occasionally when you're going for family hangouts, she can also be part of the family. You can also get to know her more, know who her family members are, so that she begins to feel
The sense of
important,
belonging.
yes, and that she's also part of the family. Those things go a long way to
Okay, so I think this is the part where we have to go on a break. But before then, this is a good time to remind you that the subscribe button doesn't bite. So please hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so that you can get notification. I'm sure you've been enjoying this episode. I myself personally have been learning a lot, and a lot of biases have been, you know, has been touched. Has been touched and all that. So please do well to like, share this 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 video to every African mom that you know, because I'm sure they will find this very, very helpful. And remember to also follow Digit1024 on all social media platforms at Digit1024. And of course, the A.R.A.L Show is on all, okay, except Twitter, all social media platforms at the A.R.A.L Show. So please do well to subscribe, and we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
As we enter a new week, we are looking forward to fresh beginnings, new events, and unforgettable experiences. Our dedicated team at Digit1024 Solutions is working hard behind the scenes, making sure that every sound, every beat, and every moment is set to be extraordinary. Every piece is being carefully checked, expertly cleaned, and thoroughly tested to guarantee quality sound. From microphones to mixing consoles, amplifiers to speakers, everything is being given a thorough check to ensure top performance with no compromises. Our commitment to you, our valued clients, is unwavering. Whether it's a corporate event, a grand celebration, or an intimate gathering, we are making sure your stories are told with precision and clarity. Behind every vibrant sound is a team making sure every moment in the spotlight is perfectly amplified. When your moment arrives, our precision and passion are there to ensure every sound, every note, and every voice is unmistakably heard, felt, and treasured. Welcome to a world of live sound, brilliant and unforgettable moments. Welcome to Digit1024 Solutions, where every beat counts.
You're welcome back. Welcome back, African Mama. This is still the A.R.A.L Show, where A.R.A.L means
Afrimums
Raising African Leaders. We have been discussing something very sensitive yet crucial. It has to do with nannies. And this time, we want to know what are the effective strategies for protecting the African child when hiring a nanny. And so today we have a guest with us. She is an expert at hiring. She is the CEO of the 𝐀𝐅𝐼𝐒 Hive, and she has been dishing a lot of profound and clear-minded thoughts that you would find very helpful. If you're just joining in, please click the subscribe button and remember to hit the notification bell so you never miss a session. You also have the privilege of going back to get those nuggets, those golden nuggets. Okay, there's one more question I want to ask, but before then, very honestly, I know someone, this was a personal experience that was shared with me. They waited for a prolonged number of years to have a child, for over a decade, I'm aware. And something that that woman kept on doing was, okay, I am African, yes, but I'm also a person of faith. I'm a Christian, and she is also. So she said something she kept on doing was, she kept on telling God that, you know, I'm a career woman. And at that time, she was a top CEO at the institution where she works. And she says, God, if you give me a child right now, I'm going to need a nanny. So while I'm waiting for a child, I'm also waiting for a nanny. So she kept on, each time she prays for a child, she prays for a nanny. And honestly, she gave birth to a child one day. Just a daughter. But guess what? That daughter has graduated from secondary school now. And it's the nanny who was there from the day she gave birth that is still the nanny till today.
Wow.
That woman, though I don't think she was young because she also had children, but that woman has been so consistent that the daughter, the child, considers that woman her second mother. Wow. So very frankly, while I have my reservations, of course she has been helping me to, you know, tick them off. I also know that there is that experience I was told about. So maybe my question, I am answering it. Are there good nannies? I know one. I heard about one. And where is she? She was somewhere in the society and somebody brought her to a family that was asking and praying for one. But now we are meeting the 𝐀𝐅𝐼𝐒 Hive. And from all that they have shared with us on precautions, trainings, interviews, deliberate keeping tab on the nannies. I want to think that mothers from all over Africa would want to know about the Carers Hive. So please, Mrs. Adaobi Ugha, tell us about this brand. Tell us about the services you offer and how we can patronize you.
I'm personally interested.
On behalf of the 54 countries in Africa, we are interested.
I'm happy I've convinced one person. Okay, so the Carers Hive is a one-stop caregiver platform created first and foremost to assist parents with stress-free parenting. And on that platform, families can get all sort of domestic support ranging from nanny services, elderly caregiving, cooking, cleaning services, just name it.
Wow.
Yes. And what we have tried to do at the Carers Hive, which you partly mentioned at the introductory part, is that we have identified and reviewed the gaps that have to do. Okay, we have identified and reviewed gaps that plague the caregiving services in Nigeria and Africa as a whole. And what we are trying to do is to change that narrative in that space with first the pre-qualification process for the candidates that we have in our pool is a very rigorous one. You won't even imagine it.
Wow.
And then to the background checks and medical screening before we deploy the nanny. And as well, I have mentioned the training aspect to trigger the mindset shift so that they understand the commitment and professionalism required on the job. We are at number 3 First Road, opposite TBS at Onikon, Lagos. And on Instagram and Facebook, our handle is at the Carers Hive.
Wow. Okay, so you've heard it. This is a good time to go and check out the Carers Hive on Facebook and Instagram. I'm sure that you visit. Yesterday I went there. I didn't know. I kept scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. So I'm sure by the time you get there, you'll be convinced that the Carers Hive is your one-stop caregiver platform. So before we go, we have an expert in the house. Last week, I and Zoe were just shooting missiles up and down. So now I want to have your opinion on last week's discussion based on the case studies we had.
Okay.
So the first one was about Ashanti, who was introduced to pornography. She had a banker mom and a very, very busy parent who didn't have time. So she was introduced to pornography by the housekeeper. And the excuse or the reason the housekeeper gave for that is that she's preparing her for womanhood and all that. And I think that happened when she started seeing her period. So now I'm asking, so you from a professional point of view, of course she became addicted at some point, and her message to us was sort of a cry for help. I don't know how to stop this. It has become an addiction. So from your own side point of view, you are more like a middle person. You're more like a stakeholder in this. You interface with the nannies. You interface with the parents. So what do you think Ashanti's parents could have done differently to prevent the situation that Ashanti found herself in?
Okay, one thing I always say to parents, no matter how busy you are, you will be able to notice changes in your children, no matter how small. So this is a child that wasn't always sticking to their phones or device, and all of a sudden maybe they are borrowing your phone to do something. They could even lie about it to say that yes, they have schoolwork to do. But yes, you are busy. Take time to look at the history of what they are doing on the internet, or just randomly walk in to see what they are doing. This child wasn't doing this before now, and now you can see the addiction to a device. If they have their own device, also try to find out why they are spending more time. So what I would suggest to parents or advise to parents is pay more attention. There would be little signs that would tell you that something is happening right there. So that's my recommendation. Okay,
so sorry, so but when you say paying attention, that would be like more like will I say curative measure?
Okay.
I'm talking about preventive measures. Okay. That what could they have done? Because personally, I find it absurd that Ashanti had to hear about period and all the puberty changes from the housekeeper and not the mother.
Okay.
Do you understand? So where do you draw the line between a nanny's responsibility to your child and
the
your
mom's
responsibility to your child?
So in this regards, teach your child all that they need to know. They shouldn't learn that from an outsider. So, for example, if this mom in question taught their child this and you should expect this and this, there is something called pornography. If someone introduces you to it, please let me know. That would have been a preventive measure.
Yeah.
The first time the housekeeper introduced that to her, she would go straight to her mom or her dad and say, this is what happened, and immediately it will be curbed. Nipped in the curb rather.
Yeah.
So I think that's something that parents should look into. Teach your child everything that they need to know. They shouldn't learn it from friends. They shouldn't learn it from your housekeepers or their nannies. Let them hear it firsthand from you.
Okay. Thank you so Thank you so much. Then for the second case was a case of, you know, a supposed...
My father's brother.
Yeah.
We called him uncle. Uncle.
Hey, introducing the boy to cigarettes, and now the boy is a junkie. He's addicted to at 16. He's addicted to. So now the thing is, where do you draw the line between allowing relatives, you know, so that you don't become that wicked relative who doesn't allow people come to your house to stay? So how do you manage such situation where a relative is coming in? And in this case, he wasn't even actually a relative. He's one of all those people where you become so close to, and it's almost like the person is relative. You know, all those people that are always coming around, and you know, your children starts calling them uncle and aunties, and you know. So how do you, as a parent, ensure that there is no infiltration into your home? That you're able to guard your home so much so that there is no infiltration, be it relative or nanny.
So I mentioned earlier that we used to have relatives.
Yes.
But that also comes with its own pros and cons.
Yeah.
And I would say, no matter how busy we are, we already know these relatives, and we know the kind of things that they can. Yeah. So if I have a brother, I should be able to say that when I'm not there, these are the things that he should or can do with my children. So at least I have an idea of what could happen. And so if I have a brother or a relative that I cannot fully trust with my kids, then they shouldn't be in my house in the first place.
Yes,
or I shouldn't leave them with my kids in the first place. There have been cases of where children were molested by close family members.
Yes.
So we shouldn't ignore these signs. They are always there, but sometimes we are too busy or sentimental to notice those signs. So that's very important.
Wow, thank you so much, Mrs. Adaobi Ugha. It's been a delight, and these conversations are very profound and very insightful. However, we have to go. So it's time for our final words. And we'll start with Somi. Somi is full. There's a lot she has to say. However, let's give it a shot. Somi and this matter, she's passionate. You needed to hear her last episode. Okay. Somi. Okay, at least from today's conversation. Now that you have been convinced, what do you have to say? What do you have to say?
Okay, so the truth is, I've never been in doubt of the importance of nannies. I, for one, I grew up, my mom, we had about 2 nannies, although one of them was a close relative, like my mom's sort of cousin, thereabout. The other one was from our village too and all that. So it's not like I saw how helpful it was and everything. But it seems the world is getting crazier by the day. So that's why I have my personal reservations about nanny. Like I said last episode, this is like my 8th year in marriage, and I've never had a nanny. So, and that's because I'm not so sure of who I'm bringing into my house. Do you understand? So, yes, you might even bring someone that says a relative or anything. But if I had a younger sister, maybe, for example, that I can bring, I'll say, okay, this one, I grew up with her. I know what she can do, what she cannot do. But one random person, so I've been very skeptical about it. But the thing is, I also know that there are reputable organizations who put their reputation on the line to make sure that you get nannies who will serve you, because truly it can be quite burdensome juggling motherhood, career, business, even if you're a full-time housewife, for crying out loud. You know, recently I had to get someone to start washing my clothes. Because I checked, first of all, anyway, I also had that tiny issue with perfection. Perfection.
Yeah.
Do you understand? So I didn't want a case, especially when it comes to washing clothes. You have to be very, very meticulous with washing my clothes. And I wasn't sure. In fact, that was part of the bias I had with washing machine until I experienced quite a few that I saw really washed it very, very well and all those stuff. So when I got the lady and everything, the first time she washed, I had to take a deep breath. Do you understand? As in, it took everything not to rewash the clothes myself. My husband had to tell me, it's as if you like suffer like this. It's as if you like this your strong woman thing.
I told you you are steady and study.
So I now had to tell myself that you can't continue like this because you just burn out along the way. So you need those help and everything. So, but it's now rest on you as a mother, know where to draw the line. This is my nanny's responsibility to my children and my family, and this is my responsibility. No other person can take that. No other person can do that. It could be maybe baiting your child. That could be where you draw the line. Don't bait my children. I will do that myself. It could be cooking for your husband, your children. You draw the line. Don't cook for my children. All I need you to do is probably just clean the house. So the thing is, first of all, like I said last week, know your family values. Every family is as unique as the individuals in it. So know your family value, define it. Let it be clear to everyone. Your husband, your children, yourself as a woman, come together as a family and define your family values. Then that will guide you in a lot of things, as in even down to your diet. Your family values, there are some things you would not want to eat because of your family values. Yeah. And that's why you see there are some places snails are forbidden. It comes down to values. But in some other places, snail is a delicacy. In fact, some people told me last week, a friend was telling me she eats snake. I have to shift like this.
And here it's like fish.
Do you understand?
So please tell us in the comment section if you like it.
But that is where values comes in. Imagine I don't eat snake and I go and get a nanny that eats snake and she's feeding my children snake. Do you understand? So that's why you need to know your values as a family, as a person. That will guide you in every other field. So yes, so that's all what I have to say.
You see, I told you she's full. Okay, so just before our guest takes her final words, African Mama, we are not in a competition. I am not you and you are not me. However, we have a goal. We want to raise our children to be a new breed of African leaders. Once we have that understanding, first of all, you understand that if I am deciding that I'm not going to go with a maid, it comes with consequences. It means that I might not be able to go so far or so quick. Maybe I can go so far but not so quick. So you have to embrace that. That is my reality. And to be frank, it's something I've told myself. For now, I'm not going to take that option of a maid, of a nanny. So what I've told myself is what I can do is a little at a time and try to do it as consistently as I can. So if you are making that choice, then understand that you cannot expect to compete with those who have nannies and all of that. Otherwise, you pass on frustration to your family, to your children, to everyone around you, and you end up becoming a bitter person. And we don't want that. So if you are choosing, on the other hand, to have a nanny, then hire the services of establishments like the 𝐀𝐅𝐼 Hive. Persons who would be deliberate, who would be conscious to get you the kind of persons who would keep that vision clear for you, which is that you want your children to be raised as well-rounded individuals so that in the near future they become the kind of leaders that Africa needs. So in summary, we're not in competition. Choose your game and embrace it and the result that it brings. All right.
On a lighter note, I've never eaten a snail. I don't know why, but in the family growing up, we never ate it. So I was just thinking about it. Imagine hiring a nanny that comes and cooks snail for.
Imagine let's not go far. Imagine hiring me, because I love snails. So imagine hiring me. Then I come and baptize your children with snails.
You go home. Next week.
Oh my God. All right, it's been wonderful hanging out with these two beautiful ladies.
Aww.
And on a final note, if your reality is that you do need the services of a nanny in your home, then you should be doing that through a reputable agency like the Carers Hive. We don't just give you the nanny and say goodbye to you. We work with you throughout the whole process after they have been deployed, get the feedbacks, make sure that you have the best in your home. And if peradventure what you have is not what you want, we'll still go all the way to give you the best. Make sure that you're happy with what you have. The children, your precious little ones, they matter to us. We want to ensure that you're raising wholesome African kids. And on this note, I'll say bye-bye till we meet again.
So under our session of Africa, My Africa, please tell us where you are from, your country, your tribe, and tell us if you people eat snake and snails. Please, we'd like to know. And what kind of delicacies do you have snake and snails in? We'll be interested in knowing. Until we come your way again, remember to
Tell the world Africa is coming. All right, bye.
The time is now. Lift your voices, take action, make your mark. Intentionally raise the leaders of tomorrow. This is the A.R.A.L Show, where we plant the seeds of greatness in our children. Africa's future, nurture their dreams, empower their minds, mold them into the leaders our continent needs. A new breed of African leaders will rise, empowered by the love and wisdom of Afrimums. They will stand tall, face challenges with courage, transforming our nations one dream at a time. This is the A.R.A.L Show, where we plant the seeds of greatness in our children. Africa's future, we nurture their dreams, empower their minds, mold them into the leaders our continent needs. Afrimums, united in purpose, we stand strong, lifting each other.